Welcome to the Keys to Success. I'm your host, Deborah Douglas, and I have my beautiful, beautiful co-host, Talisa Stubbs.
How y'all doing, y'all? I'm sorry. I think I just ate a bug. I think a bug just flew in my mouth.
It is so funny because we did not even talk about where you were at. But then when I saw you on the background, I said, this girl must be in Alabama because your background looks like you were straight in Alabama for real.
Like we out here in the country, child. We out here in
For
the country.
real. For real.
But the weather is so nice here, though. Like, girl, you know I hate being cold. So this warm weather, it was raining this morning. It was like 70 with like a nice rain pour. I was like, see, normally when it be raining in Virginia, it'd be like 30 degrees. So to have warm rain, yeah, I like a warm rain, child. Apparently.
I like it. That is beautiful. I love it. That's great. Okay, so it's been like 3 or 4 weeks since we've had our podcast. So I'm super excited to see you and talk with you and see what's been missing. But I know we need to talk about private lending because I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm seeing it everywhere I go and people are wanting to talk about it and people think they know what they're supposed to know about it, but then they really don't. What are you hearing? Are you kind of hearing the same thing?
You know what? It's like I feel like over the last 12 months, like private money has been like that buzzword that's kind of been like circular around in these real estate streets. And so like I'll just give you a funny, hopefully the guy's not watching right now, but I just had somebody book a call with me. And under where I say, what would you like to accomplish during this free 15-minute call? He says, I need hard money. I need $4 million by May 27th.
No, for real.
Yeah. I cannot make up no lies.
So do we just get this from the trees or how we going to find that money?
I mean, and so I think that there's kind of been like a misconception about like what private money is. So can I just break it down for the people real quick? Private money is not hard money. Private money is not a financial institution. It is not a bank. It is none of those things. You don't charge points. It's nothing like hard money. Private money is really, and as simplistically as I can explain it, is a hardworking person who has saved up money either in equity, in their savings account, or saved up money in their retirement, however, and they need to put that money to work. And now they are considered a private money lender because they can now lend you money for your deals. So big difference, not a hard money lender. Private money lender is a person just like you and I. They're not going to run your credit. They're not going to ask you for your last 12 months of your bank statement. They're not going to ask to call your employer. None of those things. Private money is simply person to person. Hey, I've got this opportunity. Would you like to lend on it and get this return?
Nice. So it could be anybody could be your private lender in so many cases.
Absolutely. Deborah, I know that we are doing this podcast. I cannot get myself on live for some reason on Facebook, but you know what? I'm just going to share yours. How about that?
Yes, just share mine because I'm still trying to get mine together because I'm still trying to find mine as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys,
we're do this.
We're just going to keep it real with y'all. I mean, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
yeah.
What was the question, Deborah? I'm sorry.
So pretty much anybody could be a private lender.
Exactly. And I think that, I know a lot of people feel like, man, I don't know anybody with like a whole lot of money, or I'm not connected with doctors. I'm not connected with lawyers. My family didn't come from wealth. There's not people I can just ask for money, because those are all the same things that I said before I knew what private money was. And the reality is that you don't have to know people with a lot of money. You don't have to be in circles with people who are doctors and lawyers and all those things. A private money lender can be anybody, you guys, anybody. I mean, and I don't know, many of you who are watching, you guys may follow me on Facebook or Instagram, But one of my mentees just recently raised $100,000 from a guy on a plane. And from those of you who know my story, my very first private money lender came from a guy on a plane. So that lets you know we don't know these people. We literally we meet them on the plane. We might have like a 2-3 hour flight, and within that 2-3 hour flight, we're just having some real conversation about goals, and that's family goals, financial goals. What do you do? What do you do? And we just see if there's any synergy there. It's not. I'll say this: a lot of the times when I'm talking to people and I'm explaining to them what I do and they're explaining to me what they do, I can sense whether they would be a good private money lender or not based on what they tell me. If they're telling me that, they're trying to get out of their 9 to 5 because they're living from paycheck to paycheck, and then I mention all these different ways that they can invest, and they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. That person might not be the person that you want to keep on trying to convince or talk into becoming a private money lender. The ones that want to become a private money lender, their response is typically, tell me more. So how do you get people like double digit returns? Like what sort of deals is this, like fix and flips? And so you want to talk to those people who seem like they're interested in what you're already putting out. If they already seem uninterested, it's like, don't even waste your time.
Yeah. So it's not like you're trying to convince people. You're not trying to pull anybody's arm. You're trying to just find people that already have that same mindset of like, oh, I'm actually interested in that, but I don't know the details of it. And these
Yep.
are people that they don't need this additional funds to pay their bills for the month. They have this money sitting in maybe their retirement and their savings account. Where do people usually have this money that they can utilize as private lenders?
So, and I know a lot of people, especially in America, there's not a lot of us who are actually saving money these days. But for those of you who are saving money, that can be that pot of money that you've been saving for the last 10 years and you don't know what you were going to invest it on. That can be used as private money. We talked about earlier, if you do a HELOC, if you've got equity in your house. I talked to a lady today and she's like, yeah, I've got like $300,000 worth of equity in my house, and I was just going to continue to just pay it for the next 30 years and just keep on building my equity, and maybe I'll sell eventually. And I'm like, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but in between then, honey, let's put this equity to work. What are we doing?
Right.
But I think that's a lot of people's mentality, especially coming from our culture. It's just like, once you got that house, don't you take no second on it.
Yeah. You don't want to do that because you don't want to lose it all. Like their mindset, you
Right,
don't want to lose it all. So let me
right.
ask you this. So that particular person that you were talking about, let's say they tell you, hey, I have $300,000 in equity. Do they need to move that equity into a HELOC and get a HELOC, or how do they tap into that money?
Yep. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to go ahead and get a home equity line of credit, a HELOC. They're going to pull that money out, and the bank is going to charge you interest on that money every single month. So you make sure that as a private money lender, you're making more than what your bank is charging you, what your mortgage company is charging you. So, like, if they're going to charge you 5% interest on this $300,000 that you just took out, then that means that if you're lending on one of my deals, you should be probably asking for like 10, 11%. That way you can be making some money and it's not just a complete wash. That's the whole point. We all want to be able to put this money to work so that we can actually make money. And so that's one of the ways that you can invest. I see a lot of people now getting qualified for these business lines of credit and even these business credit cards. Do you know that people are using their business lines of credit and their business credit cards to lend to other people?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
especially, and I haven't had this yet. I've had somebody lend with their business funds, but not necessarily with their credit card. But imagine getting a credit card with 0% interest for the first 12 months, and it's
That's
fifty thousand
big.
dollars on it, and you really don't need it, and you can be lending it to somebody who's doing a fix and flip, and maybe they need to get $35,000 worth of rehab material, And
Right.
they're going to allow you to use their Home Depot card in return for an interest payment. Like,
I like it. I like that. It's
there's
just
so
being
many.
creative. Like there's just so many different options that you can do it. And so, okay, so we talked about who would ideally be your potential candidate to be a private lender and who wouldn't. Then you talked about where they can get the money. So one, equity in a house. What's another way that they can get money? They can pull money out.
So the big one is their retirement funds, because this is one of those accounts that people just put money away and they really don't ever really look at it. It just kind of just sits there. And so you have a lot of people who have worked at a job for 15, 20 years, and now they've moved on to another job, and now they've got this money sitting in an old retirement account, and they don't think that they can pull it out or use it until they're 65, not knowing that they can roll those funds over to a self-directed Roth IRA, and then they could lend them as a private money lender. And so those funds don't just have to just sit there idle until you turn 65. You guys can start using some of that money. But the thing is, especially if you're trying to raise money, when you're going out there and you're talking to people about, private money and the different options, the ways that they can invest, their retirement funds, that's their nest egg. This is something that's very sensitive. So,
Yeah.
it's not one of those things where you want to come out and say, hey, pull out your retirement money and let me give you this sort of return. And I don't know who you are. Like, there's a
Right.
certain way in which you have to approach these conversations so that somebody would even think like, oh wow, well I've got money there. So let me give you an example. I'll give you an example. um, so I was having a conversation with my dad, and I know that my dad has money under the mattress because he's always put his money under the mattress. He doesn't believe in bank accounts. He doesn't believe in credit cards or any of that stuff. So I'm having a conversation, and knowing my dad, I'm like, yeah, dad, because he wants to know about how I'm getting my investors' returns or whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, dad, I'm telling these people, like, many of you have money just that's sitting and it's just collecting dust the same way that it would if it were sitting under a mattress. It's not doing anything. It's not earning you anything. And once they can invest it with me, now that money gets to make 10% annualized interest. And my dad goes, well, I've got money under my mattress, so can you do that with my money too? Sure, dad, absolutely. And so it's just one of those things where you don't want to just come out and say, hey, I know you've got money sitting in your retirement account. I know it's not making you a whole lot of money, and this is what you should do with it. No, you just have a conversation and you
Yeah.
talk about things that you've experienced or other people's money, what you were able to do or what you've seen in the past, and then allow them to make the correlation. You don't have to. The thing is, and I learned this from one of my mentors, actually Sean, which is Amy Majori's husband. He said that if you say it, it's good information. If they say it, it's gold. So
Mm,
if I can get you to say that I'm not really making a whole lot of money in the stock market, my money has been sitting in my retirement account for the last year, and I think I made like $130. Like, let them say it. And then you're like, wow, really? Oh my God. I can't believe that. This is what I'm getting my investors. And then they say, how can I become one of your investors? I never even have to ask. And that's
I
what you
love
want.
that. I love that. Okay, so let's say people have, like, someone just posted on our Facebook that they have a Roth IRA.
Mhm.
Stephanie just posted she has a Roth IRA. Who does she need to contact to move it over to a self-directed IRA?
So, Stephanie, the company that I use, which is my passive custodian, is Directed IRA. They're amazing. They specialize in self directed Roth IRAs. My guy, his name is Jeff Minnick. So, what I'll do, Deba, if you talk to the audience for a second, I will put Jeff Minnick's link in the chat, and they can book
Okay.
a call with him directly. Okay.
I love it. And then we'll also put it in our show notes so that if you need it, we'll add it. So he's the one you talk to to move it from one type of retirement over to a self-directed IRA.
That is correct. That is
Okay.
correct. So I'm going to put his information in there right now. Copy link. And so what other questions do you guys have?
So I'm thinking, okay, let's say they move the money over to the self-directed IRA. How do they know who is a reputable investor that they need to be giving their money to? Because this is still a whole lot of money. What are some, give us 3 red flags that this is not the person you need to give your money to invest?
Um, okay. So this is going to be just like any other relationship, guys. If you were dating somebody or if you were befriending somebody, when you have those interactions, you are going to have those spidey senses about that person. If this person makes you feel like they're a con artist, they're probably a con artist. If this
Mm,
person makes you feel like, man, they desperately need money, then they desperately need money. Whatever
got
it
it.
is that you're feeling, you're going to feel it. Listen to it. Listen to it.
Yeah.
There's probably some people that I've come across that I've told my spiel to, and they might have said, you know what, I don't know if I believe that girl, and maybe that's why they didn't reach out to me. But that's their, they have the right to do so. So I would say that's the one thing is if you don't feel good in the inside, listen to that feeling. If somebody is coming across extremely, um, they're trying to come off extremely persuasive. They're
Mm,
they're trying to tell you how amazing this deal is and how much profit you guys are going to make and how low you guys came in for the rehab and all that other stuff. If there's way too much good stuff that's being spoken about, that's probably a red flag,
yeah.
because people like transparency and nothing ever goes right. There's always going to be issues, and private money lenders are going to trust you more if you're willing to disclose some of those ugly things about the deal. You know,
Yeah.
like for instance, my deals, I'm renting them out to, women, 8 women. So I've got to fill this entire house up. The house isn't going to be filled up in 30 days. The house isn't going to be filled up in 90 days, might not even be filled up in 120 days. So what do I tell my private money lenders? That there is a stabilization period where I might not be bringing in any money. And
Yeah.
so you have to understand that when I say that I can pay you your quarterly interest payments, it's not just because I want to pay you further out. It's because I'm trying to structure this deal to where I can meet my obligation. And I've
Yeah.
got to be honest with you so that you understand why I need this amount of time. It's all about
Right.
open communication. Be honest, be transparent.
Yeah, I love that because then they really know, hey, exactly what's going on. They understand the ups and downs because it is a risk. It is real estate. You just never know what's going to happen. And so help me understand, if I had this money, let's say I moved it over to my self-directed IRA, I have this money, why can't I just go flip? What would be the characteristics of someone that we have 60 grand? Why should I give it to somebody else and give them 12% annualized? Or why couldn't I just use that money to flip? Because it is 2 different types of people.
Right. So think of it like this: the government wants to tax you off of everything that you earn, right?
Yeah.
And so the one of the beauties about having a self-directed Roth IRA is that when you invest that money in a real estate project, whether that's a fix and flip, a buy and hold, whatever, the income that comes in, that profit goes right back into your self-directed Roth IRA tax free. And then
Nice.
when you pull it out at whatever 65, when you start taking your distributions, you also get to pull it out tax free. And so the government says that, okay, if you've got money in your retirement account, you cannot lend on your own deal. You cannot make money through your regular source of income, pour that money into your self-directed IRA, use your money for your own flip so that you can evade taxes, because that's the way that they look at it. So what you can do though is you can lend on somebody else's deal, right? Because then you're not using your own retirement to invest in your own deals. It's
I
against the
like
law.
it.
That's why. It's because the
Right.
government says so.
But I love the fact that I could pull that money, invest in your deal, and then I can sit there and make the money, and then I can put it back into my self-directed IRA, and then it's non-taxed.
Exactly. So listen to this. So my very first private money lender, the guy that I met on the plane, what him and his partner, well, his friend were doing before he met me, they were lending each other money out of their 401ks or out of their self-directed Roth IRAs. And so my private money lender would lend his friend 200,000 to do his flip. Once his friend made his profit and all that stuff, then he would, they would keep on doing this thing, but they both of their retirement accounts were earning money, but they knew that they could
Wow.
use their own in order for their own deals.
Wow, that is beautiful. Because
Yeah.
the thing about it is, we all have this money sitting around, and a lot of us just don't know what to do with it. It's just like we started working at a job, they gave us this money for retirement. We don't even know it's there. This is an opportunity where you can still help your future retirement, and you kind of like exponentially work faster to having more money in your retirement when it is time. Because we all have to understand, you are going to get old one day. You are going to need this money. So why don't we start when we're young and we're able? Get with an investor that's connected, that you feel like, hey, we have a good vibe. We work well together. Let me see if they need my private lending funds. One question I know a lot of people ask is, how long do I lend the money? Like, what are some of the normal terms that you see?
So that's an interesting question because there really isn't, a set like normal term that you see. It really just depends on the investor, their deal, and what the private money lender's tolerance is. So I'll give you an example. I've got one private money lender who only wants to lend 25,000, and she only wants to lend for 3 to 6 months because she's new to this, and so she wants to try her luck, see how it goes before she does something for a longer term. So I know for that person, okay, she's probably gonna have to get into a fix and flip. She's not gonna be able to
Right.
get into any of my buy and hold deals, so I'll allocate her money towards a fix and flip. Now I have another investor who has $100,000, and they really don't need their money right now because it's their retirement funds. They're young, they can't use it for another 10 years. So they're like, hey, if you need it for a year, if you need it for 2 years, you need it for 3 years, you just let me know. And so that's the beauty of
Yeah.
private money is you can't make up the terms like that when you go get hard money. Deb, I know you love hard money and your students do because they do a lot for you guys. But just imagine being able to go into your hard money lender and saying, okay, these are the terms I need. Thank you, ma'am, and let's go ahead and sign the dot. Like they're like, no,
Right.
these are our terms. You need to follow. There's no
Yes.
there's nothing better than that.
There isn't. There really isn't. And it's very flexible. And I'll just share my personal experience with doing private money compared to hard money. Hard money, there is restrictions. Like, it has to be a certain number that they will lend me the money. They automatically have additional fees. They already have their interest rate that is locked. And I can't go to him and say, oh, well, I've done 30 deals with you, I need you to reduce it. Like, they'll reduce it about a quarter of a point, but they're not going to reduce the whole lot for me. But if I go to a private lender, I think the beauty that I've realized, it's just really flexible. It's like whatever you want it to be. And you just come up with the terms that make sense to both parties. And the beauty about private lending compared to hard money, I still have to pay holding fees every month while I'm in the rehab. Private lending, I don't pay anything until that house is closed. And I just check in with my private lenders, tell them kind of what's going on, especially if I know I may go over the time that we have agreed upon. I just want to keep everybody abreast about what's going on. But it is a lot flexible. And I'll be 100%. When Talisa was doing the private lending in the very beginning, I'm like, man, I don't know nobody that got no real money. I just don't know anybody. And then on top of that, like, who is going to give me 20, $30,000? Who going to give me this money? Y'all, I had to change my mindset. Like, this is so real. Talisa was like, you be surprised how many people that are in your circle that have the money and they're just waiting for you to provide an opportunity for them. And they are like, here you go, Deborah. I don't even need to blink. I trust you. Let's go. Let's do it. To this day, guys, I get tons of people reaching out to me in my DMs, on my message, just whatever, like, hey, I want to invest. What's your next deal? How can I be a part of it? And I'll tell them, like, hey, it'll be like $25,000. It'll be up to 11% annualized interest. No one blinks an eye. No one even goes back and forth. They're like, when do I send the money? Where do I send the money? So
Girl,
you got to change your mindset.
that's the first thing. You have to change your mindset. And I know this, you guys, because I have been there. I came from a family where it was like, you don't ask nobody for nothing, especially not
Yes.
no money.
Yeah.
Girl, even if I was struggling to my last dime, I was raised where I'm like, they won't know that I ain't got my life.
Yeah.
I don't ask because I don't want them thinking that I owe them, you guys.
Yeah.
Those are old lack mentalities, and if we want to have an abundance mentality, we have to change our mind frame to understand that there are people right now that are hurting because they do not know how to invest this money. They are suffering through anxiety because they're looking at the bank account, they're
Yeah.
looking at how many years they have left to work, and they're like, I don't know how the heck I'm really going to be able to retire. Can I want to get into the stock market, but I don't really have time to learn that. I see people making money in real estate, but I mean, I work too much. I can't really get into that right now. And the moment that you tell them that, oh yeah, me and my team, we take on all the work. You don't have to find the property. You don't
Yeah.
have to worry about contractors. You don't have to worry about anything. You could still be in your cushy 9 to 5 job, and your money is going to be over here working with me.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that is the information that they have been waiting on. So, honestly, you guys, if you think about it, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, you're doing these people a disservice. Money is supposed to circulate, money is supposed to flow. If
Yeah.
it's stagnant, it's dying.
It is dying. It is dying. And that is so good because I think a lot of people have misconceptions about private lending. They have misconceptions on like how this works. So if you guys are interested and you're like, you know what, I may want to have a one-on-one conversation with Talisa and talk about private lending, what's the easiest and best way they can reach out to you to get started with that?
Yes, I would say one, if you're on here and you're watching, just throw your email in the chat and I'll send you guys some information so that you guys can get started when I launch my course. But if you just want some like a 15-minute call just to find out like what your options are, you've got money but you don't exactly know where you want to invest it, just go to herinvestments.org. And it's pretty simple. Matter of fact, I'll put it in the chat. Herinvestments.org. And if you just click on book a call, you can book a 15-minute call with me, and I'll address any of the questions that you have.
Nice, nice. So if you're watching, you're listening, maybe you're watching on Apple Podcasts or on YouTube, this is a game changer for not only for your right now, but for your future. If you have the money, you might as well let the money make more money for you. If you're kind of tiptoeing around real estate, you kind of want to dive in, but you're not really sure. This is a great way to just get involved. And I guarantee you, whoever you're doing the private, whoever you're lending the money to, they would love for you to walk alongside with them and they will show you what they're doing, and you have a little bit more leverage because hey, you gave them the money, so there's going to be more willingness of you want to be involved and see what's going on. I do that with my private lenders. So if you are looking for, wanting to lend for 3 to 6 months, let me know because I always have deals that I would love to do it. I think Talisa, you do more of about a year or so. when you're
mine are going to be more like 2-year terms,
okay.
a year to 2 years. But yes, you guys, there's between 3 months to 5-10 years. You guys determine where you fall in that line.
Yeah.
There's a deal for you to invest in. Don't let that money just sit stagnant.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. This was such a great episode. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you guys love what you're hearing, if you have topics or things that you want us to talk about, share it with us, because we want to make sure that we are giving you guys more knowledge and more tools and more resources that you can really change your life with money. Like, there's a taboo about money, but that's why we get up every day. And that's why we running and sprinting down the neighborhood, because we got to get to work to make money. So it is something we all need. So let's find ways that we can be smarter with our money and work harder instead of working so hard with our money.
Girl, say that one more time. Like, I want my money to work harder than me, so I can just like take a break and relax. I know that we're about to go, and we didn't even get to touch on Deba's whole birthday shindig in Dubai and all that. But trust me, you guys, we're going to dive in, because I'm just as nosy as y'all, and I'm trying to get all the tea. So.
You know what? I'm thinking next week we need to just do a mindset. And I think I can loop in Dubai and all of that, because it was definitely a mindset shift for me.
Oh my goodness, Deborah, just the fact that you went lets me know, like, oh, that's in my future. Like, my friend been to Dubai, y'all. That means that I'm on my way. So that's what happens when you hang around people who are in alignment with you. They start showing you things and possibilities that you didn't even think was possible for you at one point, and it just makes all that much more real. So thank you guys, and we're glad to be back after this long 3-4 week stretch. I don't even know what it was, but we missed y'all. But we will see you guys next week. Bye. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Keys to Success podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to listen to more, be sure to subscribe to Apple Podcast and YouTube for our latest episodes.
Check out our show notes for more information on mentorship, private money lending, or if you just want to be a guest on our podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.